Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast in which we smash apart the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute chunks so we can analyze them in scrupulous detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Road to Infinity podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco, and one of my favorite movie, TV character tropes, I guess tropes you could say is Doctor Who.
Okay.
Whenever the Doctor, and everyone probably knows what Doctor Who is, right?
Sure.
He's a time traveler. Yeah. When they bring in that person into the TARDIS for the first time, and they go, "What?
It's bigger on the inside, but then they do variations on that. It's smaller on the outside,
and they hit, and I think they hit the apex of that. Was Peter Capaldi, Husbands of River Song, where he does it. Because he doesn't want River Song, spoiler, he doesn't want River Song to know that he's the Doctor, so he just does this awesome version of it. Now, why am I talking about that? Because that happens, or should happen, in what we are to see in minute 33.
That's right. That's right. So here we are in minute 33 of Louis Leterrier's 2008 Incredible Hulk, and there's a very odd edit in this. So for those of you who have been listening along, you know that there was a deleted scene. So the deleted scene was about General Ross meeting with General Greller, and then to collaborate his story, he brings in Blonsky. So Ross is inside the office, walks over, opens the door, calls Blonsky in, and goes there. Well, for whatever reason, they decided to use that footage. So they just take those 3-5 seconds, whatever it is, from that thing and put it in. But when they go, the next shot is them inside of a hangar.
Like a big hangar with
so
lots of big vehicles in it.
It's like they walk in and it's in like, wow, your office is inside a hangar?
So, I mean, because, this is literally how this plays.
The chandelier behind him and, and the ceiling.
It's insane. We go from, so we finish the shot of Bruce walking through a forest.
Yep.
Right? And then immediately we go to Blonsky sitting outside a door. The general opens the door. He looks at him, walks in, goes into the room, closes the door.
Yep.
They actually make sure that entire segment is in there, and then immediately we're in a hangar.
Yeah. It's such a strange choice. Now, a lot of times we're going to nitpick stuff. We're going to dig down into things that you would never notice if you weren't listening to a minute-by-minute podcast. But, this is huge. Anybody who has any sense of spatial reasoning would go, wait, what?
Is it
goes
bigger
into an office,
on the inside?
And then, yeah, exactly. Either this guy has a huge office, or
he's a Time Lord.
Yeah, or they've cut to them on the other side of the base immediately.
Well, and when you watch
was it Zarny Whoop in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy who had an entire universe inside his office because he didn't want to leave his office?
I mean, look, I understand editing and I understand this need.
Sure.
This is the first time in this movie where I go, no, that was unnecessary. That was completely not right.
You can just cut to them walking in the hangar. It's fine.
Because it's a wide shot. You establish there, and it's clearly, there's military things there.
Yes.
You don't have to establish where they are. You'll see that.
Right.
I don't get this.
There's tech all over the place. We get it. Yeah, it's a weird choice.
Is this, so here's my question.
Yeah.
We talked about this deleted scene in minute 32, the previous minute.
Yeah.
We said it was almost finished. Mm-hmm. Money was spent.
Yeah.
Does someone say, hey, you got to use 3 seconds of that scene?
Cut out the front part where they're in the plane.
Listen,
cut out the back part where he's
I don't care where you put it.
Yeah.
But bean counters say, listen, you got to make that count. Put it somewhere.
We spent hours getting that shot of
Is that what this is? Because
standing up and walking through a door.
Telling the story? No, it's unnecessary.
It's absolutely unnecessary and confusing. It's
you were on the team of the editors.
Yeah.
Let us know
what
why
the
is that there?
Is. Why is that piece there? It's a strange choice. So they get into this hangar. So there's a bunch of stuff. So this is where this podcast gets fun because we can talk about all the stuff.
What stuff is in there? So
immediately behind Blonsky and Ross is that thing that sort of looks like an amphibious vehicle. That is the Omni International V50S. A armored personnel carrier. We're going to see these later on. They're going to show up again.
Oh, no, of course. That makes sense.
A little bit of foreshadowing. Immediately to their left is, of course, a Humvee. That is not a Hummer. that is a Humvee.
Right.
So those are the military ones. Eventually, these would make their way to broad spectrum and driven by people. They became commercial vehicles due largely to Arnold Schwarzenegger, who used them on vehicles, and he was a big champion, and he went to them too. So
and then they became consumer. Yes. And then it went away. And they're coming back.
And now they're coming back, yeah. Apparently
electric.
Because,
That the Humvee that you see here, I've never seen one configured like this.
Yeah.
It's configured in a pickup truck sort of thing,
but
it also has the little like fences on the sides, almost like
probably a cargo carrier.
Yes, yeah. I've never seen one like that. I thought that was
that's what's neat about them. They can have multiple variations, and obviously we saw one earlier in the MCU because that's the kind of vehicle that Tony Stark was in when he was attacked and got to the shrapnel in his chest. Yes. Of course, if he'd just stayed in the Humvee, he'd have been fine.
That you can learn more about by listening to season 1 of the Marvel Movie Minute.
Exactly. In the first, I think it's probably in the first 10 minutes, first 10 episodes or so. So yeah, these are manufactured in South Bend, Indiana, my old stomping grounds.
Nice.
And actually, when I used to drive to college, I used to pass the AM General plant, and there would be a whole, a yard just full of all of these, and it was during Desert Storm, so they're all brown,
right?
Because that's where they were being deployed to. So they would have there'd be an entire
desert camo. They're designed for that.
Yeah, they're all set because that's where they were being shipped over there. Why is it called a Humvee? I'm glad you asked. It actually stands for...
Why is it called a Humvee?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Rob. It stands for the High Mobility Multi-Purpose Wheeled Vehicle, Humvee. HMMWV. Humvee.
Yeah, I was going to say, what happened to the W?
Right?
It just... we didn't put that in.
Humvee.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
No.
All right.
Yeah. So as they're talking, this is still continuing on this sort of dance between the two of them of like Ross wants Blonsky to do something, Blonsky wants something from Ross, and neither of them are willing to say it. So the courtship continues.
Now, this courtship has an interesting thing. If you listen to us talk about the previous minute, we talked about height differences. And when we just watched this, we said this.
Yeah.
Okay, something weird's happening.
Yeah.
Because when you go back, is it a previous minute in the last 2 minutes?
Yeah, something in the last 2 or 3 minutes.
We had the Aaron Sorkin walk and talk, right? Mm-hmm. And when we talked about the camera starting behind them, and Tim Roth looks a full 12 inches shorter than William Hurt.
The top of his head is about at William Hurt's shoulder.
Okay, that's not where he is in this scene.
No, because he could comfortably rest his chin on Ross's shoulder now.
And this is a full body shot, so there's no trickery, we don't believe here.
Right, so I'm not sure what happened there. Was it their stand-ins?
What's going on?
For the backs,
that's an interesting thing. Yeah,
right?
Because it's behind them.
It's behind them.
Well, now what is going on? All right, anyway.
Yeah. So as they're talking, now this is Ross's turn. So we've had 2 conversations where Blonsky was sort of leading the charge and had his big monologues. Now this is the time for Ross to actually have some big monologues. But what he says is really interesting because it sort of establishes where we're at. So at the time of this was just after Iron Man had come out. So the Iron Man we knew this was connected to Iron Man, but that's all we knew of what the MCU was. Here, this was all new information to us at the time. So he says, what I'm about to share with you is tremendously sensitive both to me personally and the Army. Let's stop right there. This is tremendously sensitive to me personally and the Army. Why is it sensitive to him personally? Because his daughter was hurt doing it?
Yes. Yeah.
I guess so.
Well, sure.
It seems
we have daughters. Come on.
It's kind of a stretch. The information is gonna because it's I don't know, but it's.
That's what he means though. He's saying that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're aware that we've got an infantry weapons development program. Sure, of course we do. We don't all know that. Well, in WW2, they initiated a sub-program for, get ready, folks, biotech force enhancement. Ooh, I know, right?
We've never heard of this before.
BITF.
Oh, yeah, that's a horrible...
That acronym doesn't really quite work there. But yeah, and so immediately Blonsky says, yeah, super soldier. Like, he's saying, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's weird because Ross has this reaction of you know about that? He sort of looks like, yeah. He says, an oversimplification, but yes. So
doesn't everyone know about this?
Right. So this is where it gets weird. Okay, so this is when we're gonna be drifting in and out of the MCU and what we know now, what we knew then, and everything too. So let's get a little weird. At the time they were shooting this, Marvel Studios was up and going. They were an independent company that was not. They had a certain amount of money to make movies, but they did not have enough money to distribute movies. So what they would do is they would make the movies on their own with minimal studio involvement, and then the studios would distribute them. That's why when Iron Man came out, it was distributed by Paramount.
Right.
And when this movie came out, it was made by Marvel Studios, but distributed by Universal.
Correct.
So it wasn't heavily financed by them, so they could kind of do what they wanted to. So at the time they were shooting the movie, they had already announced they were making The First Avenger, Captain America. That's what the original title was.
Right.
So they said they were going to, but it was not anywhere closer. There was no script. I checked the timeline on this too about people being involved too. There was a writer's strike at the time, so stuff got way delayed. So it wasn't like Chris Evans was already bulking up at the time.
No,
this was so
early
they
stages.
had already planted their flag. So they already said we're doing Captain America, then we're doing Thor. I mean, they already had this, and then we're doing Ant-Man. So I mean, this is how early it was. So at the time they made this, they knew there was a Captain America movie coming, so they were allowed to sort of play with this kind of stuff. Let's go a step inside the universe. So we're in the MCU now. This is a universe where Captain America existed and everyone knew it. So Captain America was a public celebrity. He was not only on trading cards, which will become important later, but he made commercials. He made films. We see later on in Captain America, the First Avenger, when it actually would have been being called, that he actually was in movie serials, like acting. So he's part of the public consciousness, so everybody knows who Captain America is where he came from.
There's an exhibit at the Smithsonian Institution.
Right, exactly. Eventually there would be an exhibit because when obviously at this point he's dead. I mean, as far as they're concerned,
he lost
in the Arctic
or
in
wherever.
44 or something. But he was a real person who really existed, and there are people alive now who knew him and worked with him and were saved by him. Even though the movie hadn't happened yet, in this universe, all that stuff had happened. So the fact that Ross is weirded out by him knowing Super Soldier was well, yeah, I read it on the back of the Captain America lunchbox I had,
Yeah, but Ross didn't have one of those.
I guess not.
He didn't have trading cards.
No, he probably fought in Vietnam.
He just played with
by
fire
his age? Yeah.
and sharp objects. I
obviously they didn't know, and we this is hindsight stuff too. But I find this fascinating because by the timeline of this chronologically, Captain America: The First Avenger has happened. All seasons of Agent Carter have happened, and Captain Marvel have happened before this movie takes place, and of course, Iron Man.
Right.
But yeah, chronologically. So this is a universe where they know about Captain America, and they know about aliens.
Right.
Have I confused everyone? I'm going in and out of meta text.
No,
so hard.
I just think that
it's Grant Morrison over here.
You can write this off as Ross didn't pay attention to that. He just was this is my secret. I hope everyone doesn't know about it, and I'm befuddled if anyone does. Right.
But I think that is something to think about, though. Is that this is a universe where supposedly Captain America was a one-time experiment that worked, and never again. But then, so later on, we'll get into sort of what's left over from that program and stuff too. But now they're just sort of talking about this program that Ross says apparently was reactivated. Right. He says, "I dusted it off, got him doing serious work again, bold work." And so this is my favorite lines in this scene. "Across the hall, they were trying to arm you better. We're trying to make you better." Right. So across the hall, they're trying to arm you better. That's Stark. He's talking about Tony Stark.
Weapon systems.
Right. So Tony Stark is about external. He's about guns and rockets and suits you can wear. But his team is about making the person inside. He's trying to create the next Captain America.
Oh, that's such a great line.
Right?
When you think about what it's meaning.
Exactly. That's what I'm leading up to is that's all this prelude is about that, because that is what he's about. He's searching for the next Captain America.
Okay, I'm not getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
But in a final minute of this podcast, we will come back to this scene.
Yes.
Because that gives that scene a whole lot more meaning.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
This is a huge, that's the thing. It's just simple dialogue, but this is a huge minute. Minute 33 is MCU foundational stuff right here.
Well, and understanding Ross.
Yeah.
Ross is a character.
And his motivation, too. So he's not just angry dad of a guy who's my ex-girlfriend.
No.
I mean, like, he's like, he has a legitimate point of like, I'm trying to find the next Captain America to help defend America.
Well, this is like, his view.
Okay.
This is his view of what is the future of the military.
Yeah.
How does it work? How should it work?
Right.
What should this be?
He envisions an army of Hulk soldiers.
Oh, wow.
That who can stand against them. Like, how better to keep our country safe by the thin green line.
Yeah, that's... Oh.
Be a thick green line.
Green, angry line.
Right?
One thing we should point out is that in the background of this, you see the big letters SOCC.
Yep.
This is actually even earlier in an earlier minute. It's on their name badges. And we assume that it's an acronym. Most likely it stands for Special Operations Command Center.
Yeah, they have it on their badges as well. I think that's what they're supposed to be. Obviously, this is all shot in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. This is their base there. So, which brings me to the helicopter, because I want to make sure I did notice there's a helicopter in the shot. That is a Sikorsky CH-3. It's mocked up as a C-53 Pave Low. Just for the IMVDB, they got I chased this dragon for a while, and it got super nerdy, and I got way into more acronym stuff. But basically, what it is this is a Canadian rescue helicopter that they refitted and basically put stuff on it to make it look like it was a military thing, but they're from the same chassis essentially.
Oh, okay.
So the actors were told when they were doing this scene, like, you can walk through the scene, don't touch the helicopter, because basically it's like plywood and wet paint.
You
at
touch
this
it,
point.
it'll all
Yeah,
fall
like
apart.
like as you see in the one shot where he comes around, there's like an antenna, something like on the front. I think that was mocked up. So like if they'd leaned on it, it probably would have just snapped right off. So they took this
movie magic.
Right, exactly. So this is like a rescue helicopter they turned into a military helicopter, but it's only enough for a passing glance as the camera slowly moves from side to side. It wouldn't stand up to real close scrutiny.
Well, once again, the magic of your set and prop people will make what you need when you need it.
That's right.
With what we got.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So good on them. So then we also find out that Banner was not working on Super Soldier. Like, that was not his thing. He was contracted to do a certain thing. So, like, this is compartmentalization. This is little pieces along the way that eventually would add up to creating Captain America. So he was working on radiation resistance. So the line is, Banner's work was very early phase. It wasn't even weapons application. He thought he was working on radiation resistance. I would never have... And we don't know what the end of that sentence is. That's what the minute ends.
No.
But it tells us that Banner was not working for he was working for the military, but he wasn't working on a military project. Like, it was about getting the human body to be able to resist radiation. Like, so they could go into Chernobyl and
tactical nukes, like
exactly,
whatever you're using,
to be able to survive after, or for a nuclear meltdown, like to send something. Like, he was working on the body doing that, and he stumbled into what created the Hulk in this version of their story.
And Blonsky has this look on his face, like he's really soaking it all up.
Yeah. Like, I think just from the terms like Super Soldier, it was sort of like, ding.
Yeah. Now he's sold.
Oh,
where do I sit down? Yeah. Just go ahead and plug me in.
I've got my pen here. Do you have something for me to sign?
No, we won't be signing anything.
That's right. This is all black book stuff. So we'll hopefully we'll find out the end of that sentence. What would Ross never have when we get to minute 34 of the Incredible Hulk? But that's all we have for today. So thank you for allowing me my Captain America meta-universe digression.
That was pretty interesting.
So if you want to know more about that going on, or you in particularly enjoy that, or want to help us keep making awesome podcasts like this, you can do so over at Patreon. Yes, that's right. We have our own Patreon to help keep our lights on. We rely on the kindness of our listeners. So
strangers.
You can find out more.
Kindness of strangers.
That's right.
Yes.
And but become a patron, and you won't be a stranger anymore. You'll be our best friend. You can learn all more about that at thenextreel.com/Patreon. So thank you all for listening. I hope you had a smashing good time. Until next time, true believers.
Bye.